who should actually consider the Neumann TLM 107 studio set, who can safely walk away, and does the price really make sense for the average home studio creator? Those are the three questions that keep popping up whenever I hear someone talk about stepping up from a budget cardioid mic to something called studio grade. I know the hesitation spending a few $100s on a microphone that promises 5 polar patterns and flat response can feel like a gamble, especially when you've probably already got a decent USB mic that gets the job done. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. In this video I'm going to walk through what the TLM 107 actually delivers in real-world recording situations, where the value shows up, and who should probably keep looking elsewhere. First off, let's talk about the category you're really buying into. Condenser microphones with multiple polar patterns are marketed as a on-a-McFitzl solution. In theory you can nail a close-up vocal, a roomy drum overhead, or a distant acoustic guitar just by flipping a switch. In practice, the usefulness of that flexibility depends on two things: the acoustic environment you're working in, and how often you actually need those different patterns. If you spend most of your time in a treated room doing vocal takes, a solid cardioid mic is already enough. If you have a makeshift garage space and you need to capture a drum kit without buying separate mics, the extra patterns become more than a gimmick. The TLM 107 comes with a Shockmount and a nickel finish body that looks like it belongs on a professional broadcast desk. The real kicker, though, is the 5 polar pattern switch: cardioid, wide cardioid, figure 8, omnidirectional, and an in-between mode. For a home recording enthusiast, the most practical benefit is the ability to go figure 8 when you want to capture a duet or a vocal plus instrument in one take without having to set up a second mic. I've seen a few YouTubers use that setup to record a singer and a guitar on the same track, saving both time and mic phase headaches. If your workflow includes that kind of two-in-one recording, the TLM 107's pattern switch can actually shave minutes off each session. The flat frequency response up to 8 kHz is another point that often gets lost in the marketing copy. In plain English, that means the mic reproduces what you play without artificially boosting the brightness that cheap condenser mics love to add. For voiceover artists or podcasters who struggle with sibilants that harsh sound, this smoother top end can be a real relief. I tested a short vocal piece on a laptop's built-in mic, a generic USB mic, and then the TLM 107. The difference showed up as less post-processing to tame the SS frequencies, which translates directly to fewer EQ moves and a cleaner final mix. Now, let's discuss the practical side of powering the thing. The TLM 107 requires plus 48V phantom power, which most audio interfaces already provide, but it does rule out direct use with some lower-end USB audio adapters that lack phantom support. If you're the type who plugs a mic straight into a laptop using a cheap USB audio dongle, you'll need to pick up an extra piece of gear and interface with phantom, or a phantom injector box. That's an additional cost and a cable management hassle you might not have expected when you first saw the price tag. Another feature that sounds impressive on paper is the trio of high-pass filters and 3 pad settings. In real life, the high-pass filter is a lifesaver when you're recording in a room with HVAC noise or low-frequency rumble from traffic outside. Slip the filter to the 80 Hz setting, and you'll notice that the recorded bass doesn't wobble as much. The pad switches, typically -10 dB, -20 dB, -30 dB, allow you to get close to a loud source, like a snare drum, without clipping. In my own test, I placed the mic 12 inches from a small kit snare and turned the -20 dB pad on. The resulting waveform stayed well within the 0 dB peak range, meaning you get a clean capture without resorting to digital limiting later. So who should definitely buy the TLM 107? If you already own a decent audio interface, you're comfortable with phantom power, and you either need the extra pattern flexibility or you're chasing that flat, natural toned sound for voices or acoustic instruments, this mic is a solid step up. It's especially worthwhile for podcasters who want to avoid harsh sibilants, or for small band musicians who need a single mic that can switch from cardioid-focused vocals to omnidirectional room ambience at the flick of a switch. The included Shockmount also saves you the expense of buying a separate accessory, which is a nice piece of value if you plan to mount the mic on a desk or mic stand for many hours a day. Who can skip it? If you're a creator who only ever records a single vocal track, you already have a cardioid condenser that works, and you're happy with the slight boost in high frequencies that cheaper mics provide, then the TLM 107's extra patterns are basically dead weight. The same goes for anyone who records purely on a laptop with